All right, everyone, welcome back to Urgent Care Unscripted. I'm Barbara Ranalter, the Director of Operations at AFC Urgent Care in West Haven.
Hi, and this is Muhammad Zaman. I'm the franchisee of AFC Urgent Care West Haven. Today we are here to talk about immigration physical and how important it is and what role does it play in the overall immigration process.
Joining us today, we have Kara Hart, a seasoned immigration lawyer who has been practicing in Connecticut for over 20 years with a deep commitment to helping families basically navigate through the U.S. immigration system. Kara specializes in family-based immigration, guiding her clients through sponsorship all the way through U.S. citizenship. Welcome, Kara.
Thanks for having me. Immigration is a complex process, and understanding the medical requirements helps to make it go more smoothly.
We also today have Dr. Felix today. He's our medical director, and he is also our USCIS designated civil surgeon. Welcome, Dr. Felix.
Thank you. Happy to be here. I look forward to answering some common clinical questions regarding the immigration physical.
Awesome. Let's start with the basics. At what point in the immigration process should applicants complete their immigration physicals, Kara?
Typically, people should complete the physicals before they file their applications. The medical exam is part of the Form I-693, which has to be completed by a USCIS designated civil surgeon. So under Dr. Felix, can you tell us who's a civil surgeon and how would someone find one?
A civil surgeon can easily be found online via the USCIS search option. And basically, a civil surgeon is an experienced physician, at least 4 years, that undergoes an application process. And we are designated the responsibility to complete the I-693 to ensure that an immigrant is medically able to enter the United States or remain in the United States.
Awesome. And a question for Kara. When the process starts, how does the actual application of the I-693 form happen? What does the applicant do at that point?
Well, once the exam's completed, the civil surgeon will give the completed form, I-693, to the applicant in a sealed envelope. That envelope has to stay sealed. The applicant will send it with their application for permanent residence to USCIS. Sometimes it will be delivered to USCIS later, but typically it will go with the initial application.
At AFC Urgent Care, we have designated immigration process to be smooth and straightforward for applicant. So, Dr. Felix, can you explain to us what kind of tests we do during these applications?
So we first consider what the immigration physical is supposed to do. In general, it protects the U.S. population from infectious, contagious disease. So a good part of it has to do with, ruling those out, making sure that the individual has the appropriate vaccinations and doesn't have signs of, let's say, active tuberculosis, syphilis, and such. That information is very easily available on the USCIS website, where you can see all the requirements in terms of vaccinations. Seasonal flu vaccinations are required. COVID is no longer required, but several vaccinations depending on your age and screening for active tuberculosis, gonorrhea, syphilis, depending on your age, as well as a physical exam to ensure there's no signs of, active illness.
Are there any recent changes in the policy of immigration that, Kara, you can elaborate to us about?
Well, that's a great question. Immigration policies do change on occasion, but to date, the only current change is that USCIS no longer requires the COVID vaccination as part of the required medical exam.
So, Dr. Felix, I have a question for you in regarding to the application. You've mentioned that patients do require to get some vaccines done. What happens if they don't have those records?
So we can do a medical screening for titers, actually do lab tests to test whether or not they have sufficient antibodies that would deem them immune. And if they are immune, then those vaccinations would not be required. Oftentimes people come from other countries and, records are incomplete. They don't have the paperwork, or sometimes it's in a different language. And it's important to bring an English translation of records because the civil surgeon or the office shouldn't be responsible for obtaining or understanding what the original vaccinations are.
Barbara, from process perspective, we often hear clients or patients coming in for immigration physical, and they're in a rush because they have come to us in the last minute.
Yes.
And although the process could take 3 to 4 weeks, now they want it done as soon as possible. What can the patients do to make the process really go as fast as possible? How can they prepare themselves and help make the process faster?
Absolutely. So making sure you have all of your medical records ahead of time is a great way to speed that process. Unfortunately, that can't be true for every single patient. So what we do have to do at the clinic, like Dr. Felix said, is we have to do the titers for the patient. So there are some blood works that just take longer. And if you want to eliminate that, we can always give the patients a booster vaccine just to make sure that they are up to date with their vaccines, as long as the medical provider, Dr. Felix in this case, is agreed with that.
And then there are also places where people go for immigration physical that do not always have an immigration physical civil surgeon on site. Are those in concern for people who are applying?
Well, the USCIS website lists these civil surgeons. You have to make sure that you're actually being seen by the civil surgeon of record. That would be a problem both for the applicant and for the civil surgeon. There's an annual recertification, check-in process. So the civil surgeon is supposed to sign the paperwork. That signature has to be the civil surgeon's, not someone else's. And, there could be other issues down the line. But in general, you want to make sure that the person signing and examining is the actual civil surgeon.
Got it. I think, Cara, also for this episode, you had some final points that you wanted all our listeners to be careful about and be mindful of as they go through the process. If you want to expand on your summary, please.
Yes, as of December 2024, as we mentioned, applicants must submit the medical exam with the application for permanent residence. Now more than ever, it's important that applicants submit complete paperwork to USCIS, because if USCIS denies an application, they're now directed to put the person in removal proceedings. So it's really important that the information be complete.
That's great. And just with that, would you advise people that are eligible to apply right away?
I'd say always seek legal advice to find about whether the person is eligible for the benefit he or she is seeking and whether the timing makes sense as well. Because if a person has a medical grounds of ineligibility or inadmissibility, it's critical to address that before sending the application to USCIS.
How long does the process typically take from start to finish?
In applying for permanent residence inside the United States, typically USCIS will schedule an interview within 6 to 8 months of filing. At this time, they're generally interviewing everybody who applies for permanent residence.
One thing I would add is the process for the immigration physical can be fairly quick, but it would require at least 2 visits. One, because a quantiferon test, which is a blood test for tuberculosis, has to be done on every patient, and that would require a wait time to get those results. And then the subsequent visit after for the physical exam and to ensure that there's nothing positive on that testing. And if it were positive, getting a chest x-ray done as well. So it's always at least 2 visits for the immigration physical, but that can be, the second visit could potentially be several days to a week apart.
Is it important for the patients or your clients, Dr. Cara, to provide all documentations for their applications right away, or should they kind of gather that as they go through the application process?
It's best to present it right at the time of applying. I wouldn't count on being given the opportunity to provide additional information during the process any longer. The current immigration policies are quite strict, And it's better to be prepared from the outset.
This has been so valuable, and I'm sure our patients will really appreciate us going through that immigration process for them.
And thank you for thank you, Kara, and thank you all to our viewers for watching this episode. We welcome you to Urgent Care Unscripted, and please subscribe and look forward to our next episode coming soon.
And if you have any questions, feel free to send us those questions. You can email us at westhaventeam@afcurgentcare.com. And you can also come visit us at 354 Sawmill Road in West Haven. Like we mentioned before, we do immigration physicals here, and you can get it done starting today. So there's no need to wait with us.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Thank you for having me.